want. I feel like also it's a missing puzzle piece we never had. The dragons. And now that they're here, things might change. For better or worse, I have no idea.
Change is change. It is on those who live through it to determine whether it is good or bad. Or, more specifically, it is on us.
Exactly. And at that point, he kind of turns around. At this point, arms kind of crossed behind him as he looks towards her. Which is why I want to ask you, what should we do with these dragons, in your own personal opinion?
More and more, I question the decisions that I made. I look at what is left behind of that legacy, and I wonder, would I have done things differently with who I am now and what I know? And I can't help but feel that dragons were never the problem. They were a symptom, and something that we persecuted out of fear. Well, I do not fear dragons, but I do fear what we may become if we once more turn towards hatred. If we seek to use them as weapons, or if we seek to eradicate them. It will not bode well for our future, as it has not bode well for this present. If you ask me, we should find these dragons before others do, and we should offer them some sort of sanctuary. A place they can be nurtured to determine who they are and what their own destinies will be.
Del nods as he listens and thinks. And that's honestly, it's exactly my thoughts. I do not wish to make the same mistakes as in the past. To be honest, I wish to understand them, to allow them to live in a world free of them as the enemy. A sanctuary is great, because I think at the end of all of this, what we're fighting to stop the end of the world. We're gonna need their help more than anything. And I'd rather them be our friends than our enemies. And that they help us not because we want to use them, but because of their own destinies. Oh, because of favors or gratefulness as friends. That's what the paradoxes in the Star Society does. Make everybody's friends. They work together at a common goal. And that's what I wish to have. So yes, I agree with you. I want to find these dragon eggs. Find them before anybody else tries to use them or tamper with them. Known to make the dragon decide that maybe our world should not be as it is, and it should be, well, return back to the old ways. I want to show them a new world. Well, there is a future for all of us. That is my goal. That I share with you. That's very similar.
Strange. I had the oddest feeling that I'd had. Never mind. It is a grand ambition, and a noble one. We will give it all that we can. I will return to my training.
He nods his head as he steps out from the training.
And Lord Wolfwood.
He turns around. Yes, Gwyn?
I appreciate this conversation. It illuminated some things. And I believe that we are on the right path.
I believe so too.
She picks up her shield and her spear. And once more it goes back to training.
He nods and he walks away. Gotta love
workshop in the sewers of Hearthvine, where Kelly and Kak and Zale spend most of their time. Maia's been there lounging in her daily ritual of meditating for 8 hours at a time, drinking wine, and napping, and then doing it all over again. You find her pouring a glass of wine on a big circular couch surrounded by the waterfalls that part off the glass wall that shows you the underwater of Lake Auveil. And as she's sitting there with the backdrop of the water and the fish and the seaweed, there's just bunches of pillows and little couches. She's just sort of been lounging about there. She's currently pouring another glass of wine.
She's gonna first just make sure it's in her eyesight and then approach. Taking out a piece of, like just a few pieces of paper and just waving it in the air. Just managed to speak to Roxy and got the paperwork approved. Just one final look through to see if everything's up to turn. Hands it over.
She takes it and just quickly signs down at the bottom portion of it and goes, "I am certain that it is fine."
I do have like one. I think of it maybe as an addendum to like the gestures to the contract, but also maybe a potential side job. I need I need to hire somebody for bodyguard work. It's not for me, it's for somebody else. She'll slowly take out Naeamah and sit him in front of her.
She raises an eyebrow.
I mean, there's some times where we're like going through rooms and stuff, and I don't want him to be exposed to whatever's going on in the room. So I was wondering if, if this is a situation where I deem as unsafe for him to be around whatever the fuck is going on, if you could just make sure he's fed at least like 3 times a day, and just make sure, you know, he's in a nice soft place to sleep. It's really low effort, it's really low maintenance, but I do want him to be safe when, you know, when I'm not in a position to do that.
She leans forward, sets down her wine glass, and picks up the little bird in her hand, and gets a little sleepy rustle of his feathers, and she's just like,
Well, it's the cutest thing I've ever had to bodyguard, I'll admit.
she just places him down next to her on a little pillow, and he gets all curled up and nestles down into it.
She's like, contract accepted.
Alright. And then she just discuss, like, negotiate the price. It's gonna be the elite bodyguard price. She's really that extra. Just, yeah, just make sure he, if you want to speak to him, I could lend you the ring that I have, but, I mean, he's also very insightful. He is my council member, so if you did ever need his insight on any conversation or just drop on somebody's motivations, he's actually pretty good at that. He taught me.
She gives another raise of her eyebrow and then looks incredulously at the owl, and then takes a sip of her wine and says,
I have heard that we are leaving soon.
Yeah. Next few weeks, we're just gathering all the supplies we might possibly need on the road. But it will be on the 14th.
she fiddles with the brooch and says,
And these will allow us to aid you anywhere you are at, correct?
That is correct.
Kelly and I have said that we will stay here, but will happily come at a moment's notice.
Okay. It's good to know.
She has vested interests here, of course, and I am focused on something else.
I've noticed. And she's...
Kelly said that I have been rude, and I have been told that I should apologize, so I apologize.
She just looks at her, like, taken aback. Who said that you were rude? And, like, who complained that you were rude?
Kelly said that I have been standoffish, which I can see. She's right. She usually is about these things. I am working on something.
One thing that I've learned is sometimes the body and mind go through a lot of stress when taking a very difficult and mysterious journey up ahead. Frustration that things aren't going the way that you wish to. The path isn't as clear set. So it's fine. And makes a few gestures to being standoffish.
Have you ever heard the parable of the turtle and the reaper?
I don't think so.
My master once told it to me. I don't remember it either. It is one of many things that I've thought about recently that at once seemed like it wasn't important at all. But now I wonder, with the things that we have seen, the places that we have been, and where we have yet to go, I do not want to be unprepared. I must grow. I must become stronger.
She slowly nods. The one thing that I've learned over the years is not all information seems lost. It's deep within our minds, and when we recall it, that's when we have an epiphany. There might be mental blocks down the road, but we have to work slowly, or at least work steadily, maybe not slow. We have to work persistently to open the pathway for the memories to flow. I guess it's one of the reasons, things I was told about She, it's actually linked sometimes to the whole essence of
You
the
would like
universe.
my master. He spoke very similarly to you, though I had little patience for those types of what I considered ramblings, to be honest.
It's probably the reason
But
why he rambled a lot, because he knew that you would have to figure it out.
I have seen things with you. You've brought back the dead. I now know that there is more possible than I ever thought. She looks down at her hands, balled into fists, releases them, grabs her glass of wine, and says, "My spiritual studies never went very far. I suppose you could say that I am making up for lost time." She takes a light sip and places the glass down, tosses her hair back, and leans back on the couch and just stares over towards the vast aquarium-sized wall and says, "If there is a deep ocean inside of me, all I have ever done is stick to its shallow shores." Try and try as I might, it's like the current just keeps pushing me back up. She seems frustrated.
Well, as somebody who has grown up around water, know a thing or two about deep sea adventures, sometimes don't worry about breathing. Just sink. Let me become the ocean. You're not in it, you are it.
She shakes her head and goes, "More words. They mean nothing."
Well,
Sorry, I do not mean to throw your help back at you.
No. I was actually gonna offer another, not deal, but been thinking a lot. When your master came to my island, I wasn't there. But what is the one thing that two masters of martial arts do when they're in the same place?
They challenge each other.
I'm very certain if he did not speak to me, he must have spoke to Master Samar. He was the head of the temple that I sometimes went to. I have a feeling maybe he left something behind, or Master Samar can gleam light on something. I don't know what. But I don't want to pursue something unless I have your permission. This is something very close to you. I shouldn't get a say in what I think should be done. Just opening the offer in case you were just knowing about it. She's just making more awkward gestures and just starts drinking her tea. I could always contact him
I don't know what to say, but thank you. I have been getting nowhere. Not that I will stop trying, but if there is anything you can do to help, I will not turn it away. Not this time.
Slowly nods to that. Alright. Well, as she gets up, just gathers Naeamah. Is there anything whenever she was accessing the spirit world for like visions and stuff, or what has she been told about maneuvering through those situations?
That it's all about aspects of the mind, that your traditional skills of navigating it won't help you. But it is always going to end up your connections with people and ideas are what allow you to be able to navigate it, not like physical navigation. And so stronger connections to people, either through like items or more knowledge about them, but also like if you have memories and stuff connected to people, it usually helps you be able to find them better. But the barriers that end up coming up between you and another person, if two people are both trying to find each other in it, right, then they can usually actually fairly easily do so and very quickly. If only one is trying to do it, then they end up going through a bunch of like psychological like vignettes in a way that end up trying to like push them back, right? And usually they're based off of not everybody. If you've only got positive memories with somebody, you'll probably be able to find them very quickly, but that's not very common. People have mixtures of memories, and it's all of the bad ones that keep you from being able to get to them, all right?
Actually, she's gonna slowly pull out a pillow and just sit Naeamah on it, so Naeamah's across from Maia.
The place looks like a massive jungle world, swamps and filled with fog and mist, and there are no like buildings or walls or anything, right? So everything in the spirit world, some things will exist. They're like furniture and rooms, but they're always like manifestations of your memory of a place.
Yeah.
But like you could walk into a place, and if it had like pictures hanging on the walls, I'll just be like floating in the air and stuff. Like there are never walls in the spirit world. There are no walls and there are no doors. That's why you can't actually navigate anywhere the traditional way.
Yeah.
Things are connected based off of your memories and your ideas.
Okay. Alright, so she sits Naeamah back down and like pulls up his little hood, which he's dressed in a Coterie Coast inspired fashion. He has a little Triton helmet that she just slides up as on his hoodie. Just a quick question. You don't need to say it out loud, but do you have a memory, or at least do you remember a situation where he just told you something and everything shifted into place?
I'll have to think on it.
Might not be that. It might just be a moment where being in their presence brought you a sense of peace. Don't navigate in your journey the way that you would out here. Connections and emotions pull us through. The spark pulls us through. So maybe you need to clean up that map, that mental map that you have, and start new. start with a different memory and work your way there.
She nods and lays back down on the couch.
And she'll just say Nochlin, safe travels in the spirit world. And she'll just slowly leave.
Okay. Scene end.
That's gonna be an interesting one.
So, Naeamah has taken to mostly spending the days out gone, but she's been back around in the afternoons, and Arthur has started vacating the rooftop because it's become her haunt at night and his haunt during the day. She is sitting in the opposite chair that Arthur normally sits in there, and she's got a bunch of magazines open from Hearthvine's like different fashions, magazines, and so she's just there idly flipping through them. And whenever you walk up, she tilts her head up, and the slight little bit of moonlight that's there almost seems to like catch her eyes for the moment, and you can see the shine of red go through them. And she smiles and says, "Hello, darling. I don't believe we've actually had a good conversation yet. Please sit."
Not who I was expecting up here.
Oh, yes, the grouchy one. He said that it was perfectly fine if I stayed up here on my own. Not much of a conversationalist, that one.
He can be antisocial. As he kind of sits down.
He implied some experience with vampires, and that usually means not a good experience.
Yeah. He kind of sits down as he kind of sits back, crosses his leg, and his hands are kind of like on the table. His back's kind of straight as he's kind of viewing her from the other side of the table. He's had to run into a lot of bad sorts of people, honestly. He's very cautionary.
Well, I suppose somebody has to be. Your group seems to get into strange ordeals. It's not just him, is it?
No. Honestly, I wanted to have a conversation with you just to get to know you.
Make sure I know what I'm getting myself into, is that it?
That and, well, you wouldn't be the first person with other intentions. So I just want to see what your intentions might be. If you have other intentions.
Mine are quite devout. Are you familiar with the Dark Lady? The Dancing Maiden?
So
I suppose
no
you
idea,
wouldn't be.
Yeah.
No. Few on the surface, no. And
The elves never speak of her. Even where I am from, her name is outlawed. I may not look it. I take quite a bit of effort to give off the impression that I am merely a pale elf from Charlotte, family born and raised here in the West. But that is not the truth. I'll put all of my cards on the table, dear. I am a drow. I'm certain your experience in the Coterie Coast is familiar with our kind, at least some. We love trading through your networks. But you may not know this is exactly where the drow come from. Would you like to make a history check to see what you know about the origins of drows?
I will, because I have specialty in legends. 33.
All legends indicate that they came from, Yellum, specifically the region of Eystervelm, where her family, the Krovas, are from. And it is believed that they were the result of elves who had children there who were born cursed.
Well, for what I know, it's in the history books. You're from Iceland, well, the origin of your people is from Iceland, and you are the product of elven children who are cursed. Though I have a feeling that's not the whole story, is it?
No, actually a very carefully developed lie. We would not much care for people to know our true origins. For we come from somewhere else entirely. Deep underneath this world is a crust, a network of tunnels known on the surface as the labyrinth. You may not know this, though, is that crust layer is upheld by pillars that rise up out of an endless sea, black and dark and hidden from all light. This undersea spans the entire globe. Every ocean, every river, every lake eventually winds its way down to the undersea. There is where my people reside, in the cavernous depths of another world underneath this. It is where I spent the first 300 years of my life, never having seen the sun, never having seen the stars, and never knowing the Dark Lady's dance or her song. My lady, Elestray, guides my people towards the surface, towards the light. For being so deep down in that dark abyss, it tears at the soul and corrupts the nature of all beings. Where I come from, backstabbing, it is the rule. If you were to ever meet another one of my kind, you would be wise to exercise the level of caution that you have with me. But I will tell you that I am not like them. I am not like most. Not only do I share their blood, but I also share another curse. She shines her teeth. But that is one that I can talk about on another day. Suffice it to say, my lady requires of me grace and mercy. I will not harm another creature, and I will always shine light in the darkness, for that is her way. And by following in her way, even a creature like me. She grins this seductive, venomous smile. Even a creature like me can find redemption. Do you believe in that? Or do you believe that a monster is always just a monster?
So kind of smiles a little bit, there's a little of a smile at that, as he says, and I didn't think that a monster can be redeemed. Well, I'll give up hope on myself. As he kind of like, his eyes kind of get like his narrowing thing, so it's more of his kind of like wolf kind of side kind of comes out at the same point as he's looking at her. Otherwise, I would be just a monster.
Oh yes, I did smell a particular taint about you. It doesn't concern you. You haven't tried to get rid of it.
So eyes kind of close, it's kind of revert back as he kind of goes to normal his eyes. Mine is complicated. It's not so easy to get rid of. For the one who gave it to me, it's especially not easy.
That sounds like a trifling curse indeed. But it's not like curses don't come without their certain benefits. The strength, the power. It's useful, is it not?
It is. Though the lack of control is something to not be desired.
The bloodlust. That shudder that goes through you when you can smell the iron in the air. Yes, I know it. And how have you fared in such moments? Have you ever done something that you've regretted?
He sees him think for a moment, kind of distance kind of goes in his eyes as he thinks. Yes, on Griffin's perch. I don't know how many enemies I slew that day, but I know in that moment, I never felt so much alive than killing all those people. Not that then I felt disgusted about myself.
Well, that is because you are a good-natured being. Kindred. They suffer when others suffer. That is a good sign. It means that you have not completely succumbed to your curse. And you have seen that there is power in blood. An intoxicating power for some. But you may not know that that is a power that all beings have within them. We carry it in our blood, and it can be accessed if one is not afraid of things that others scorn out of hatred. I should probably explain what it is that the Crover family expects of me with being with your party. As a priestess of Elestray, I have access to many magics. She has taught me how to hunt, but also how to mend, how to heal. That is where she offers me grace, and it is why I have chosen to join your endeavors. By being amongst your people, I have an opportunity to heal those that would heal the world. That is a true chance at redemption. But my methods are sometimes a little unnerving to some people. You see, darling, I practice a very old kind of magic. There is a power inside of blood, one that some call Vitai. This power I have learned to access, to gain knowledge, and to share it through the bonds of blood. I can form a pact with those willing and those unwilling, drawing power from the blood that they shed, and also, if I choose, sharing with them some of my own gifts. The ability to heal from wounds, to turn into mist, to escape into the night. These are the gifts that I offer. But I have more for those of an academic and arcane mindset. For you see, I can share my knowledge, distilled through hundreds of years of study. And all I require is but a drop of your blood, of your essence, of your Vitai. Normally, for the common folk, I would not ever offer such gifts. But for those like you and your compatriots, destiny has tugged at your hearts and your souls, and your Vitai has grown quite strong. You watch as she moves her hand in front of you, and this sphere of looks like mist starts rising out of her hand, red, and forms this orb. And as she does, as soon as it becomes this solid orb, she snaps her finger, and she does this little peer away as she stands up. And it's this quick but yet graceful motion where there she is sitting in the chair, and next she has stood up, and with a slight twirl, the orb above her head unfurls out like it's a big silk tapestry, and it falls down over her and forms this cloak that then wraps around her body and becomes this almost fitted outfit of silken red. Protective magics and healing are my expertise, and the blood is the source of life. There are those that find it unnerving, but for those that recognize that blood is the source. They can see the power that can lie within it. I can teach this to you, if you would care to learn it. But it is your choice. You are the one that must balance between the bloodlust of your own curse and the powers that it might grant you.
Gerald sits there. Eye contact with her remains as he thinks. And that he slowly gets up from the chair and walks towards her. Not really hesitation or anything, with purpose. As he stands in front of her. I've seen what blood can do, the power that can give. I've also witnessed the bloodlust and the evil nature of people like us. But if it's for my friends, protect them, keep them safe, and for myself, get stronger in case my curse bearer tries to take me, then I need the strength. So I accept.
She takes a step towards you. She places a hand over your heart. It's like suddenly your heart starts beating faster. You can feel it, and it's almost like it's suddenly the only sound you can hear. It's right between your ears. It's maddening, the level of this. And it's just erratic and heavy. You feel as your vision begins to blur and it narrows, and all you can see is her eyes shining red, and her teeth come forward, and she says, "Blood, willingly given, cannot be easily taken back, darling." And she sinks her teeth right into your neck, and that thudding suddenly alleviates, and you feel as the vision completely starts to roll back, and you fall unconscious. You will awake the next day, having slept, even as an elf, this just drained you out and knocked you unconscious.
Yay!
You will awaken.
Dreams!
8 hours later, and with this knowledge innately within you, as if it's something you've done all your life. And you now have one less hit die. You awaken in your bed, by the way. Undressed and tucked in.
He's just dragging you down the stairs. Damn. Man.
As Zell examines his neck, is there any mark left?
Feeling on it, you look there, and yes, you can see that there are 2 puncture wounds there, but they're healed.
Gotcha. He still covers it because there's honey. I know what Hana's gonna say, but gotcha. Damn, another good scene, man. Fuck.